Let me tell you about this crazy experience I had at the gym a few months ago. I had joined this gym for the first time and never expected anything scary to happen there. But let me tell you, it was the most horrifying experience of my life. I always wear wireless headphones when I work out. They're way less annoying than the wired ones. Anyway, sometimes I would leave my phone on one of the workout machines while I went to get some water. But there was a little issue with my headphones. When my phone got too far away, they would start acting up, making static noises, and eventually disconnect. It had happened a couple of times before when I accidentally strayed too far from my phone in the gym. So, one late night last week, I found myself as one of the last people remaining in the gym. I was doing my thing on one of the seated leg machines, pushing through my set of 20 reps. Suddenly, the music in my headphones started getting all staticky. It was a clear sign that they had disconnected from my phone. I paused my set, reached over to the phone compartment on top of the machine, and to my utter shock, my phone wasn't there. Panic set in, and I started scanning the gym frantically, desperately hoping that my phone hadn't been snatched. Apart from the guys at the front desk, there were only 2 other people in the entire gym. One of them was an overweight, sweaty guy, while the other sat on a machine, engrossed in his phone. I couldn't help but wonder if one of them had taken my phone. Reluctantly, I approached the guy who was glued to his phone. He had these earbuds in, so I tapped him on the shoulder to get his attention. He looked at me with a puzzled expression, clearly not pleased to be disturbed. Taking out one of his earbuds, he shot me an annoyed look. I mustered up the courage and asked him, "Did you take my phone?" There was a brief moment of silence as he stared at me. Then he replied bluntly, "No." I followed up by asking if he had seen anyone else passing by recently, but he simply shook his head, indicating he hadn't noticed anything. Despite his rude attitude, I thanked him and walked away, though deep down, I wanted to give him a piece of my mind. Feeling frustrated, I approached the front desk and requested the employee to check the video footage, hoping it would reveal the truth about who took my phone. As the employee clicked away on the computer, the guy I had confronted walked past me and headed towards the exit, leaving the gym. The employee then turned the computer screen toward me and played a video. It clearly showed the same guy who had just left, walking away with my phone. I thanked the employee and rushed outside, hoping to catch the thief, but he had vanished into thin air. At that moment, the most terrifying realization hit me: the fact that I had disabled the passcode lock on my phone recently. It meant that whoever had my phone now had access to all my apps, texts, pictures, emails, basically all of my personal data. With a sense of urgency, I hurried back inside the gym and asked the employee to track the man's membership information. To my surprise, there were no records of him even being a member. He had managed to slip past the counter unnoticed, leaving no trace of his membership. The footage showed him acting suspiciously, anxiously looking around as he wandered between the machines. Frustrated but determined, I insisted that the employee report the incident to the police. However, he mentioned that he would show the footage to his boss the next day. Worried about the situation, I called my best friend Mike to inform him about what had happened and let him know why I might not be able to respond to his messages for a while. Mike started freaking out on the phone, desperately begging me to tell him it was all a joke. He revealed that someone had been sending him texts and had even shown up at his house. I was shocked by his revelation, so he decided to come over and show me the evidence. Within 10 minutes, Mike arrived at my house, visibly distressed. He showed me a lengthy conversation he'd been having with someone who was using my phone, pretending to be me. The conversation started innocently, with the imposter on my phone, asking if he could stay at Mike's place because he had a huge fight with his parents. Thinking it was me, Mike replied, agreeing to let him stay and asking him to inform him when he arrived. Then, the imposter asked Mike to leave the back door unlocked, claiming he would be coming in late and didn't want to disturb him. As we read through the conversation, a sense of dread filled the room. Mike looked up at me, his face pale with fear, and uttered, "The cameras." Without wasting any time, we rushed to his house and watched the footage captured by the security cameras. It was chilling to see the same man who had taken my phone sneaking into Mike's house through the back door. We sat there in shock, watching the intruder rummage through Mike's belongings, greedily pocketing valuable items. He moved from room to room, making his way upstairs. We saw the fear in Mike's eyes as we watched the man on the camera enter his bedroom, spend about 20 seconds inside, and then leave, leaving the door wide open. The intruder had spent around 10 minutes inside the house, stealing numerous valuable possessions before slipping out through the back door. We wasted no time. We immediately sent the video footage to the police, and I also informed the gym manager, who assured me that they would provide their own footage as well. But here's the chilling part. 3 months have gone by, and we haven't received any updates from the police. It seems like the person who stole my phone and broke into Mike's house got away with it without facing any consequences. It's terrifying to think about the fact that this person had access to all my personal information. It serves as a haunting reminder of the importance of safeguarding our belongings and taking necessary precautions to protect our privacy. About 5 or 6 years ago, back when I was in high school, there was an incident that still gives me chills whenever I think about it. It was during a regular gym class, and we were always up to some kind of fun activity. One spring day, the weather had just turned warm, and the snow had melted away, giving us a chance to enjoy the outdoors. Our teacher gathered us in the back area of the school where the football fields were located. There, tucked behind the fields, was an additional football practice area, followed by a vast expanse of woods stretching beyond the school grounds. Little did we know that this day would be different from the usual games we played. The teacher announced that we were going to play a thrilling game called Capture the Flag. In case you're not familiar with it, the game involves 2 teams standing on opposite sides of a line, each team guarding their own flag. The objective is to sneak past the enemy team, grab their flag, and bring it back to your side without being caught. It was always a blast, and this time, my good friend Tom and I ended up on the same team. Tom and I shared a competitive streak, and we devised a brilliant plan to outsmart the other team and seize their flag. With a sizable class participating, we chose the field adjacent to the woods for our game. Our strategy was to slip into the dense woods unnoticed and navigate our way through to the enemy's territory. We aimed to emerge suddenly, catching them off guard and snatching their flag before they could react. Timing was crucial, so we waited for the perfect moment when the teacher's attention was elsewhere. With a quick glance to ensure no one was watching, Tom and I ventured into the woods. Descending a slight slope, we plunged deep into the wilderness, making sure our movements remained silent. As we treaded cautiously, Tom tapped me on the shoulder, his gaze fixated on a spot between the trees, about 40 feet away. There stood a man, an eerie sight in such an isolated location. It struck us as odd because there were no paths cutting through this particular section of the woods. The dense foliage stretched far and wide. We both observed the man for a few tense seconds until he suddenly locked eyes with us. Perplexed, we tried to comprehend why he was there. He appeared to be around 30 years old, sporting glasses and a beard. The encounter became increasingly uncomfortable as the man broke into an unsettling smile, motioning for us to approach him. It wasn't a friendly smile, it sent shivers down our spines. Tom and I exchanged a brief glance, mutually deciding to continue our journey, disregarding the man's gesture. Yet, as we hurried away, we could hear the sound of rapid footsteps echoing through the woods in our direction. We didn't dare look back. Instead, we picked up the pace, racing back to where our classmates were gathered. The man's approach filled us with unease, overshadowing our interest in the Capture the Flag game. We knew that once we reached the rest of the class, the man wouldn't dare follow us into their presence, whoever he might be. Thankfully, we finally arrived, and to our relief, the man never emerged from the woods. Nevertheless, we remained watchful, keeping an eye on the edge of the forest, half expecting him to reveal himself. The rest of the class proceeded as normal, and the man never resurfaced. However, our unsettling encounter took an even more chilling turn. After gym class, I headed to my next period, which was history. But not long after the class began, the school suddenly went into lockdown. The teachers swiftly locked their doors, and everyone was prohibited from leaving. None of us knew why the school had entered lockdown mode. The tension in the air was palpable as the lockdown persisted for about an hour, leaving us in a state of confusion and worry. Eventually, news reached me that a man had robbed a bank on the other side of town the previous night and had been spotted on school property. It sent a cold shiver down my spine as I realized it was the same man Tom and I had encountered in the woods. Looking back, I can't help but wonder what that man wanted when he beckoned us over with his eerie smile. It's a chilling thought that still haunts me to this day. You won't believe what happened to me at the gym. I've been going there for over a year now, usually in the early morning hours to avoid the crowds. But recently, something terrifying occurred that made me switch gyms. The gym I used to go to was located in a small town and offered a lot of great facilities. I loved the peacefulness of the early mornings, where only a few dedicated individuals like myself would work out. However, there was this one guy named Alex who started showing up frequently when I was there. He seemed friendly at first, striking up conversations and trying to get my attention. It wasn't necessarily flirting, but I could sense an underlying motive. I made it clear that I wasn't interested in anything beyond a workout buddy, but he persisted, always managing to be there when I arrived. I began feeling uncomfortable, sensing something wasn't right about him. Still, I brushed it off, thinking maybe I was just being paranoid. One Saturday night, I couldn't sleep, so I decided to head to the gym around 11:30 p.m. I thought it would be virtually empty at that time. As I pulled into the parking lot, I noticed only a few cars, and it seemed deserted inside. But then, I saw Alex lurking in the shadows. He approached me once again, trying to strike up a conversation. I firmly told him I wasn't in the mood and asked him to leave me alone. However, his behavior suddenly changed, and he became aggressive. His eyes bore into mine with an intense gaze, and he disregarded my request, insisting that I talk to him. I was furious, but deep down, I also felt a surge of fear. There was no one around, and I was vulnerable. In a horrifying turn of events, he grabbed my butt and demanded to know what I was going to do about it. As if that wasn't enough, he pulled me close, attempting to force a kiss upon me. I reacted instinctively, slapping him and scratching his face, but he retaliated by choking me. I struggled for air, fearing for my life. The seconds felt like an eternity as I gasped for breath. Just when I thought I couldn't hold on any longer, a brave woman's voice echoed through the gym, ordering him to stop. He released me and fled the scene. Shaken and terrified, I was helped by the woman and a male gym employee who witnessed the incident. They called the police, and I provided a statement, though I was still in a state of shock. The cops assured me they would track him down since they had clear video evidence and knew his identity. The next day, news reached me that he had been arrested. However, my relief was short-lived when I heard he had been bailed out of jail soon after. Despite the gym revoking his membership, I couldn't bear the thought of encountering him again. I made a crucial decision to switch gyms, prioritizing my safety. Now, I always go with a gym buddy, someone I trust, to avoid reliving the trauma. It's essential to stay prepared for the worst-case scenario, as anything can happen anywhere.